And welcome to today's Plan to Paint with Jim Spawnseller. Today we're going to be doing some mountain peaks in a wet on wet style, popularized by Bill Alexander and Bob Ross. It's always amazing watching Bob's videos and seeing just how easily he makes it look. Everything just flows right off of his brush and palette knife. It's quite amazing. So hopefully we can recreate some of that magic here today. So first off, we're going to prepare our surface. It's an 8x24 canvas, and we're going to put on our white base layer, our liquidy runny white. Nice even distribution, even coat. I'm going to get more paint on my brush here. This just takes but a couple of minutes, and this gives us our nice base wet surface for the paint to slide around and blend and let magic happen. You don't want a whole lot of this on. You want to make nice thin coats. So spread it out, and leaving just a thin layer. Make sure you get those edges. You don't want those to behave differently than the. If you see my board here, I have some oil runs going from some of the paint I put on, so I'm going to put that back in place here and clean up some of these drips before they contaminate my other colors. Some new tubes of paint had a little bit of oil come out that was unsettled out of the paint. So we're going to go ahead and, looks like I'm losing my Indian yellow here. Get this more embedded into the board. Sometimes the fun's of new supplies. So we'll get this cleaned up here. You can see how much pigment's still in that, even what looks like an oily run. So clean off that palette knife. We're going to be using it pretty extensively today. And go back into laying down our liquid white, but before we get started any further, I will go over, we've got some titanium white. So we've got our liquid white, titanium white. I'm going to try a little bit of phthalo turquoise, see where we can use that. It's haven't used it before, it's kind of a new test. Some Prussian blue, alizarin crimson, some lamp black, Van Dyke brown, sap green, yellow ochre, Indian yellow, cadmium yellow, and a bright red. And that's what we're going to be working with today. I think we're gonna try to capture some summer memories, more greens and yellows than the fall reds and browns. But we'll see as we let the painting come to life. Sometimes these paintings, they kind of take on a bit of a life of their own, and we end up letting them direct the flow. And we start with a general idea of what we want to put on the canvas, picture in our minds. And what we're going to try for today is a nice vibrant sky and a couple of sets of peaks, one overlapping the other, add some depth. And then down front we'll have a small pond with some land, trees growing up on either side. Probably going to be more deciduous trees today rather than pines. I think they're a lot of fun keeping that tree shape unique. Have a little more freedom, I think, with the deciduous types than you do with pine trees and how they look. Alright, I think we've got enough white on here, our base. Hopefully we got a good camera angle here and we can actually see the painting coming to what I'm doing here. Alright. I'm going to go, I forgot to lay out my round brush here, so I'm going to step over and grab that a second. Always better to be prepared, but if you're not and you want it, best stop and go get it. Alright, so we've got our primary base white layer down. I'm going to take a little bit of that paint off my brush, but otherwise just going to use the dirty brush. And because I'm curious, I'm going to pull down a little bit of this turquoise. We're going to bring down some Prussian blue into that mix. And we're going to work that into the bristles nice. We're going to start at our top. Just make little crisscrosses. A little bit more of that. We've got a little bit of a edge based on how this canvas is being held. We're just going to bring that down, let it blend out. And as we bring it down, we'll be picking up more of that liquid white. And lightening our sky. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that. I'm actually going to bring down a touch more of the turquoise. So I like that color in the water a little bit more. We're just going to bring this in from the sides, just straight horizontal strokes. And we're going to leave a little bit of a white space for where the sun is most reflective. Bring this in from the sides. And just like that, we've got ourselves a nice water base. Keeping those strokes nice and horizontal, and letting the variations happen out on the... Now I am going to take a dry brush to come back over the sky to blend it out a little more. So I'm going to pick up a new clean 2-inch dry brush, and we're just going to kind of work our way up here and blend. Little crisscross strokes, solidifying this up. And then we're going to come across a little bit here, we're going to work our way back down. And the reason is that this keeps the blending. So we've got darker as we went higher, now we're getting lighter again, and we want to start lighter, and we're going to get darker again as we go up. And so we want to move over the same darkness here and work our way back down into the lights again. So we don't have random light and dark popping up in our sky. Alright, take a little bit of that paint off, and we're going to come across just really lightly. Blend this out. I think today we're going to do some clouds. And to do some clouds, we're going to take our fan brush, a bit of titanium white, kind of load up the brush a little bit here, pull it down. And starting with the top, we're just going to kind of dance in some cloud shapes. Looks like we probably could use a little bit of liquid white in there. Just gonna. It does not want to lay on there thick, so we're gonna have to put a lot more pressure on our brush. And just kind of dance them around, make your shapes however your clouds you see them in the sky. Leave my brush off in here. More of this liquid white. Just dance them around up in here. Trying to get lots of paint to come off the brush. stick to the canvas a little better. Make these around here. We'll just kind of see, I'm picking up a lot of that blue off the canvas. Just a few little happy floating clouds. Understand why he used that terminology, because it is kind of fitting. Very likely kind of pick up some of that paint. I know there's some blobs floating around in here. I'm trying to clean that up a little bit. Don't want too thick a paint laying on here. It tends to, as it dries, kind of flakes off. And so we don't want that effect necessarily. Here. Alright, and we're going to take that sky brush we had, and we're just going to really lightly blend the bottoms. And what this does is just kind of makes the blends it in with the darker blue underneath, and kind of makes the shadow on the bottom side of the clouds more apparent. So you don't want to touch those top edges, because the crisp edges kind of gives the cloud more of their shape. Now that we've done that, let's get some more of this paint off of here. And one of the differences in the way that I paint with this style is I do not use a solvent to clean my brushes. I do that at the end. I will clean them with a odorless mineral spirits, but as part of the painting process I don't, because I don't really want that fume and everything else in the studio here. So very lightly, just a couple of bristles and hair, a couple of bristles and air in between. We're going to fluff these clouds. And it pulls up a little bit. And if you pull up, don't worry too much about the little strands that pull up above the clouds. That's going to be okay. So we're going to lightly fluff the clouds. Fluff, fluff, fluff. And a kind of little circular motion, just barely grabbing any of the paint. That lifts them up more. And then ever so lightly, we're just going to go right across them, kind of blend them down a little bit. And I can see I'm already doing it a little too heavily even. I can see my individual bristles hitting the canvas here. That one was way too hard. You can see that it pulled the cloud sideways. Trying not to do that. And I've almost got it blended away. Alright, so we've got a few clouds. They're not really the show of the painting today, so the central part of this painting is going to be a series of peaks, mountains. And I'm certainly not near as skilled as Mr. Ross was. We're going to take some Van Dyke Brown, bring down some alizarin crimson, and some Prussian blue. You don't need a whole lot of Prussian blue. So right now you'll see we got like a red tone to our dark. Bring down a little Prussian blue. This is going to make a bit of a purple color. And it's good to keep bringing your paint back in together here. And then we just pull it down. Kind of a smooth layer, and we cut across. Get a nice little roll of paint on there. You got to decide where your peaks are going to live, and so I think I want one here. And you get to just kind of scrape in whatever shape you want here. Just making sure you think of the lay of faces of your mountain, what your peak really looks like. So this we're going to have this way. We're going to bring this one actually across. Figure out where this actually goes from here. And I think that's going to be good. Pull the paint down, kind of keep your thoughts of where your faces of your mountain are going to be. I'm going to go in here with a clean brush. We're going to reach up just under the edges and we're going to pull down. Following the faces of your peaks as you have them in your mind. Actually, we're going to bring this and pull this down. And we're going to take this and we're going to pull down the opposite direction. So this peak's going to live out in front. And what's very important is that you don't hit that upper edge. You want those edges to be crisp up and through here. And then we're just going to kind of blend this out. And then up the mountain very lightly, keeping up your peaks. And then we're going to take some of this titanium white and some liquid white down into our mix. Oh, that's going to show the red quite a bit. Bring it over here away from some of that red. More white. Same deal, pick up a roll. And now we're going to go very gently, just kind of tap it in there. You want to leave breaks in it. So kind of tap down. And obviously I don't have enough white in there, so we're going to bring in some more white. And just on the faces that are just kind of tapping as we go. You got to decide which part of your mountain is facing into the light and which part is going to be in shadow. That's good. So we got a little bit here, going to be in the light, and this one's going to kind of come down. Then we're going to bring some blue into this mix. Get some nice blue on our knife here. We're going to do the shadowed side. Gonna have a little bit of a face sticking out here as well. I'm gonna go back with my white and bring this one back out to the front here, I think. We'll finish doing the shadows back in here. you start to get a feel for what's facing the light and what's turned away from the light, which starts to add some depth to your painting here. Just like to clean the knife off here. Back into some of this white here. We're gonna bring this side back to the front here. So, just like that, we have a mountain. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring another mountain across this one. And before I do that, we're going to do the same thing down here. We're going to pull this down, make our misty bottom. Make sure you pull in the direction you're. And we'll just blend it lightly. And kind of pull up with the land. And this gives you that nice misty effect going on in here. As you get to the base of a mountain and everything becomes obscured. Alright, so. Gonna bring back more of our mountain color here. Lay it out, get a nice roll. We're gonna bring this one right across. So down this way. We'll let him run right off the painting. You can see that. There we are. Kind of bring him down. He's got a few multifaceted things, but we're going to just bring him right across. Strengthen up this edge right here along this mountain. Because by having this hard edge here, it's going to make him stand out in front of this mountain we have in the background. See, he constantly lays up and that just gets pushed way back. And that's the effect we're going for here today. And so we've got some nice facing light here. A little bit of a recess there. We're going to come back across this way. So we've got some recess here. Got a nice face here. At this stage, it doesn't matter too much. It's nice to start firming it in your mind what this mountain's going to look like. All right. Back to our mountain brush. Just grab and pull. Trying to keep that edge in mind of I don't know if you can kind of see what I'm doing here, but where I'm planning to have my light hitting the mountain, I've kind of pulled this way, and where I'm putting my shadows, I've been pulling this direction just mainly as a visual cue to myself, kind of how I wanted to see this mountain take shape. And so we're going to blend across the bottom. And then pull up. Alright, so we gotta go back in and bring down some more white. I'm gonna let this white be a little bit more completely white. Bring a little bit of the liquid just to kind of thin it down a little bit. Makes it a little easier to work with, a little more likely to stick to the painting. And take that nice roll, and then we just kind of start back and forth, trying to lay that paint on there nice and apparent. As you can see, I'm having some issues as it rolls up my knife. Clean the knife off here, grab some nice as you move back and forth, just kind of tapping the canvas, letting it pick up some of that paint off of your knife. Don't want it to look too stair-stepped, but you want some variation in how your angle of your knife hits the peak here, because that variation makes shapes of rocks that are a little more. And I'm going to have to use more liquid white because that's really not wanting to stick there. So we're just going to thin this out, come across, and light facing side here. Maybe it gets a little light, more sparse as we get down towards our bottom and it starts to warm up a little bit. We're not quite in the same altitudes. Hand's going a bit to sleep here, squeezing my palette. We're going to go bring down some more blue. Make our shadows even more stark here. This just kind of comes down. Make sure you leave some spacing on there. It really makes nooks and crannies. And we'll just pull this right down here. You really get the effect that this really sticks out in front and casts a shadow down, so you've got some more variation in your surface. And clean off the knife. Take out that mountain brush and just kind of blend the bottom together down here. A little bit lower in the mountain because we're closer. We don't have quite the high of mist. And we lift. As you can see, we have some nice, very distant set of mountains. This one's much closer. Now we've got some decisions to make. Where do we want some trees? We're going to start with our mountain color here. We're just going to bring in a little more sap green. This will take it back to more of a brown, away from the purple. We have to decide where our land is going to be and where we want those trees to live. So I'm going to take my round brush. We're just going to start putting in some tree shapes here. You want some gaps in there. The trees don't grow right on top of each other all the time. One that's a little bit taller and skinny. And these are pretty far off, so we don't have to have a lot of detail in them. And we're going to bring this all the way. We'll do about right here. Bring this down. Kind of blend in a bunch of tree tops down here. They're far enough away we don't really have to do a whole lot more than that. Maybe a couple of trunk indications with a liner brush. And just pick that up and just kind of pull this up. It gives a little more indication of what's going on there. I really want just a little bit of green in here. We're going to load that up. Just kind of give them a little bit of highlights in here. Just a little indication of green. They're not winter trees, but and then in front of those, we're going to go even more green. We're going to start right here with a nice limb out here. Some more sap green. We're going to put another one right here. I know, we're covering up those beautiful mountains. That's kind of the name of the game here. Make beautiful stuff and put more beautiful stuff on top. And we're going to have some, pick up a little Indian yellow in there. A little yellow ochre. Have some bushy stuff and grass growing down here. We gotta figure out where our land comes. Maybe we'll stop this one along here. Bring it around. We're going to take some of this darker in here. I suppose I could switch to a 2-inch brush. And we'll go over top of that a little bit. Starting at the bottom, working our way up. And we're just going to push and top up. Holding the brush horizontally, and this is going to give kind of a blades of grass effect. And it's less noticeable as we go back. Blend this a little better in here. So we get more of a natural transition. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. Bring this around. Let this go off the side over here. Get a little bit lighter as we go back. We don't want to cover up all of that mist necessarily. We want some of that to kind of show through. We do want some other tree indications back in here. Some bushes growing up maybe. And so we're going to go back to our liner brush here and pick up more of this trunk color, add in some Van Dyke brown here. I'm going to do the same thing, laying in some indications of some branches out in the tree, laying in a heavier trunk. I'll do the same with this one over here. Just a little indication of some branches in here. This one's kind of got a bigger limb that kind of came out this way. And kind of grew out into some smaller branches out in here. Don't have to get real crazy with the detail. We're going to take our palette knife, put a little bit of highlights on that side, kind of a gray, bring this down, make a, you can see this here or not, and make a lighter brown, probably bring out a little bit more of this liquid white, a little more of the Van Dyke brown. Same thing as with the mountains, just pull it out, get a nice roll on the knife, and you just tap on the side of the trunk that's in the light, and just kind of bring it down. A little bit on one of the branches up in here. So it's catching light here, catching a little light on top there. But there. We'll do the same thing on the other tree. And just kind of touch the knife to the canvas. Again, we're adding some dimensionality and depth to the painting. As we can see, these were getting hit by the light. Making sure the light's on the proper side of the branches. We got a whole lot of nothing going on here, so we're going to make some more trees, obviously. But before we do that, we're going to pick up some sap green, bring it down here, and a little bit of this cad yellow. Make much more vibrant green. I'm going to add some highlights here. So we're going to start on our towards the top. Top on the side that has the light, and bring it down. And don't destroy those darks. Just kind of casually adding in some extra foliage. So you can see that it is time for an even darker tree. And this one's going to live right. And let me see here, what do we got in our view? I think we're going to do this one right here. So it's going to have a limb that comes right out over this pond here. He's going to move right on outside of the painting. It doesn't have the greatest of shapes yet, so a little bit of that black can stand out a little more. I'm going to use the palette knife to lay this trunk in. It's very dark here, so. And this tree's got a big lean to it. And I pulled down some of the Van Dyke brown. He was competing with his neighbors. Had to stretch out here to get his own hands on some light. Right down. You can make these trees, you know, just think about how the trees are around your house, around your neighborhood. What they kind of branch out to. Let's see here. Highlights next. Let's clean off some of the paint off the knife here. Bring down some of our titanium white, a little bit of that liquid white. Mix it right into our other tree highlights values. Again, come across. You see the light's playing a little bit more on the trunk down here where it's further from the branches. A little bit of that light there. Trying to keep the highlights on the proper side of the branches. Across a little more consistently. We need a tree over here. I haven't decided exactly what to do with that. Maybe it's just going to be some bushes. I think we'll make bushes. Let's clean off my knife here. Before we get to that, we're going to add the highlights to this tree. We're going to pick up a little bit of Indian yellow and cad yellow. It is much brighter green here. Starting at the top on the side that has the light, just going to tap in some oops, we picked up too much of that brown. And let's see here, what do we got? Oh, this one could catch some light out here, I think. Blend that in. Alright, and now for some yellow shrubbery. Pick up some yellow ochre, a little bit of Indian yellow. I'm just gonna take and push up. It's a little too light, so I think we're going to bring down a little bit of a darker value here. We're gonna put the alizarin crimson down now. Just got some bushy things happening in over here. Add some and this side, yeah, I kind of like that tree pointing over to this mountain here. So I think what we'll do is we'll bring some a little bit of dirt down along the edges here. And then we'll bring our reflections in and just kind of finish out the pond. So taking our palette knife, we're going to bring some Van Dyke brown down, a bit of alizarin crimson, a bit of sap green. It's gonna be all right. We're just gonna take and pull down. We got a little bit of a bank here. I'm gonna pull a little bit of this here, but ultimately the grasses on this side kind of obscure the bank. I'm just kind of pull and start and pull. I'm going to darken this a little bit. I actually have this one kind of cross over in front. And now we're going to put some sticks in here. I want a little color on this side. I'm going to get some of that green out of my brush. Pick up some bright red. Just pick it up here. More scrubby brushes here. Some briars growing right along there, maybe. And then we're going to pick some yellows. We're just going to go right into some white and some yellow. We got some other things going on in there. Tapping and pushing up a little bit. Just a little bit along here. Kind of weeds growing right out to the edge. And I think we're gonna pull our reflections down into the water here. Just pulling straight down. I'm gonna add a little bit of the color in there though. Just gonna take a little bit of a brush here. We're gonna pick up some of that red here. Crimson in here. Get some of this yellow. Back to that red. Alright. Taking our brush, we're going to go right to the edge, pull straight down. and ever so slightly just across. It's that easy to make water. Then we need to take our palette knife and we're going to put in a water line. So we need some titanium white and some of our liquid white here. And we're just going to scrub in a little bit of a water line here. The water line needs to be horizontal. And like that, we'll call this one done. I'm going to sign it over here in this corner here, but I actually think I want to break this up a little bit over here. Got too much of a transition right there. Alrighty, let's get some bright red paint here on our we need some oil, which I didn't leave out, so let me get some of that. Now, I usually have a little more luck because it wants to pick up so much paint. So we're just going to right here. This one's not a liner brush. It's just a number 2 round. Alright, now let's try adding some oil. Maybe we can make it inkish enough that it'll flow off. And so I hope you enjoyed painting along with me today on our free-flowing Friday. Take a little stress off, make a world of your own. And just enjoy the process and the beauty. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like. If you haven't done so, I invite you to subscribe to the channel for an easier time following along with what I'm doing, and hopefully you're able to get your own setup if you're painting along and decide that you want to. Pretty much anybody can do this. It's just enough. Just a little bit of practice. Alright, this is not making it better. Alright. Today mostly we were trying to focus on making our peaks and our mountains, and I always like to add water. The technique makes doing water reflections sort of magical. So hope you enjoyed painting along with me today, and until next time, don't be too hard on yourself, just keep painting.